All right. By now, you've created your Google account, your Gmail account, if you will, and you're logged in to Google. And so you land here at your Gmail inbox. And you're going up here to your new best friend, this numeric keypad looking icon, and you click on it. And this time, we're going to click on Calendar. Now, this is obviously a calendar app to help you stay organized, stay functional. And it's incredibly helpful, especially with as busy as everybody seems to be nowadays. And in particular, if you have other people you're responsible for, maybe you're a mom and you have a couple of kids and they've got different activities they're engaged in, and you've got activities that you're engaged in, it's hard to keep track of everything. So sometimes it's handy to create a calendar so you can keep track of these things. Now, you've logged into Calendar, and this is the default view. It's a single week at a time. Now, today happens to be Saturday, March 4th, and that's the last day of the week. You can see it's sort of highlighted in gray over here, and the red line indicates the current time. So right now it's a little bit past 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, March 4th. And so anytime you log into your calendar, this red line will be there, whatever time of day it is. And this is the previous week. A lot of times this is fine if I have stuff to enter for the week, but you can also see up here, you've got different views that you can enable. I sometimes like to look at the month. This is sort of like a regular wall calendar view. And you can see down here, daylight savings time starts. That's a week from tomorrow. This will be a couple of days before when we're meeting. But that's something I'll show you in a minute. But this is the month by default. And this is a good view for me. I like this. It helps me stay more organized. So this is where we're going to get started. We've logged into Calendar. We've changed from the default week view to the month view. And now I'm looking at the month of March 2017. And I'm just going to start creating stuff. Now, I know that on Monday, one of my daughters has choir practice at the beginning of school. She has to actually get there a little bit early. So I'm going to double click on this day, and it brings up a new untitled event. And I'm going to say, Susan choir practice. It's on March 6th. Is it all day? No, it's not all day. So we'll unclick that. So March 6th, and it starts, we're going to highlight up here, hit the backspace. It starts at 8 a.m. and it's until 9 a.m. There we go. Okay. So on March 6th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., also on March 6th. Where? It's in the auditorium at her school. Calendar. Well, for now, I'll leave this in my calendar. Description. Susan's choir practice for upcoming spring musical. All right. Now, notifications down here. This is key. By default, it's going to give us a notification 30 minutes, and what that means is 30 minutes before 8 a.m. So at 7:30 a.m. on March 6th, we're going to get a notification via email that this event is taking place. Well, I want to be reminded the night before, because I want to make sure that the clothes that she needs to wear are clean and ready for her to take to school the next morning, and that we find her, fancy black shoes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to add a notification, and I'm going to double click in here, and I'm going to say 1, and instead of minutes, I'm going to say 1 day. Now what this means is I'm going to get an email notification 1 day prior to March 6th at 8 a.m. So on March 5th at 8 a.m., I'm going to get a reminder about this appointment. And that's going to remind me, oh yeah, I got to make sure that I have her shoes and her clothes ready to go. It's not the auditorium, it's the auditorium. There we go. All right, now I'm going to save this. And you can see here, it shows up in our month view, Susan has choir practice. Well, I also have an eye doctor appointment that same day. So I am going to click on the 6th and just click once and it pops up sort of a quick thing. And I'm going to type in eye doctor appointment. But then I'm going to click on edit because I want to put in some more details. So click on edit. It is not all day, so we're going to unclick that. It is on the 6th. It does happen to be at 10 a.m. till 11. That's the default. It'll say it's going to take an hour. That's fine. I can accept that. Now, in the where, I'm actually going to type in the address of my eye doctor's office. So I'm going to type in 44125 Woodbridge, and you see it's auto-populating some of these possible addresses. These are from Google Maps. You don't have to have put these in previously. It's sort of guessing what you might be typing. Now, as a matter of fact, this is the address that I was going to type in. So instead of typing the rest of it by hand, I can just click on this to select it. And now it's populated that. That's where my appointment is. And for a description, I'm just going to put in eye exam, bring sunglasses. Notification 30 minutes. That ought to do because I'll already be up and awake and around. I'll have already taken my daughter to her choir practice and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to add any notifications. And I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to say save. And so we can see from this month view at 8 o'clock, Susan's got to be at choir practice. At 10 o'clock, I have my eye doctor appointment. Great. One nice thing is click back on this eye doctor appointment and click on it once and it brings up this little pop-up box. Now, since I typed in an actual address, if I click on map, this is going to automatically launch Google Maps and it's going to show me a map of exactly where the office is. So I click on map right next to the address. And if you're familiar with the area, great. Oh, okay, I know where that building is, and I can, you can go down and press the minus key a time or two to sort of zoom out to get a larger view of the map. Say, oh, I come in on Route 7, and I get off by the hospital, and then I drive around to the office. But if you're not familiar with this part of town, you could also just go over here and click directions, and it's sending you choose starting point. So this, you could type in your home address. So let's see, do I know any addresses over there? I know one out in Springfield. 6100 Rolling Road, West Springfield, Virginia. So I click on that. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you the directions. And it's got a couple of different possible routes. We're just going to click on details. And it's going to list the directions here. So you're going to get on the 49 express lanes. You're going to follow the express lanes. Take the exit from 28 north onto 7 west. Scroll down a little bit, continue on Route 7, drive to Woodbridge Parkway. So it's going to sort of tell you how to get there. If you have a cell phone, you could have had these sent to your cell phone by clicking this button, and then your GPS feature on your cell phone will just direct you to the office. But let's get back to calendar. So this is Susan's choir. This is my eye doctor appointment. Let's say you've got a daughter named Susan and a son named Randy, and you want to sort of keep their activities separate or in their own isolated calendars. And you can go over here to My Calendars, click this little caret here, and you can see that right now we have My Calendar, which is supposed to show up in blue. We have birthdays, which show up in a little hazel, and we have reminders, which show up in blue. But I want to create a new calendar, so I'm going to click on this caret. I'm going to say Create New Calendar. And this calendar name is going to be Susan's Calendar. activities for Susan. And we can accept all these other defaults. That's all fine. And go back down here and click on Create Calendar. Now, from now on, when I enter things like Susan choir practice, and let's go edit this event, and it says, which calendar is this? It's Alan Brown's calendar. Well, maybe I want to change this to Susan's calendar now. And then I click on Save. Well, look at that. Now it's telling me that mine show up in hazel and Susan's show up in orange. So now when I'm looking at the month view, I see orange color, Susan's choir practice. Hazel color, this is my eye doctor appointment. All right, so let's create a new event. Let's say Randy, your son Randy, has soccer practice on Tuesday. So we left click on Tuesday the 7th, and we say Randy soccer practice. And let's edit the event. It's not all day, so we clear that. It starts at 5 p.m. So we double click up here, and we can just use the scroll list, and we'll select 5 p.m. Like I said, everything defaults to an hour, but it's actually from 5 to 6:30. So let's click here and select 6:30. So it's an hour and a half on March 7th. And it's at the elementary school right down the street. And calendar. Well, darn, we haven't created Randy's calendar yet. So let's just go ahead and leave it in my calendar for now. And for description, let's say soccer practice. Don't forget water bottle. Notification 30 minutes ahead, that's fine because we're going to be at home, cooking and getting dinner ready and stuff. And let's save this. But I want Randy to have his own calendar. So let's go back here to this caret. We'll create another new calendar. We'll call this one Randy's calendar. Description, calendar for Randy's activities. And that's fine. All these other defaults we can accept. And we say create calendar. And now Randy has his own calendar. So let's click back on Randy's soccer practice and say edit event. And down here where it says calendar, let's change this to Randy's calendar. And then click on save. Now, look over here. Now Randy's are going to show up in yellow. So we can see sort of the default view that Randy's got yellow events. So we can see right now every calendar that we have. We've got my calendar, the default birthdays, and we got Randy's calendar, the default reminders, and we've got Susan's calendar. Sometimes maybe Randy, you've got a whole month worth of events and Randy just wants to see you just want to see what Randy's events are. Or maybe Randy wants you to show him what his calendar is and he doesn't want all the other clutter and whatnot. So you can go over here and you can say display only this calendar. So now all you're going to see is Randy's events and Randy's events only. And now you start clicking on the boxes next to these calendars and they'll start repopulating in there. I don't want to see the default calendar for birthdays, so I'm just going to hide that. If there were any birthdays up here, they would hide. And the default for reminders, I'm going to turn that off as well. If I just want to isolate Susan's events, I can either click on here and say display this calendar only, and I'm only going to see Susan's events. Or I can just, click next to the other boxes to hide them. And then when I want to see them again, click there to repopulate. Obviously, this is handy for, hey, maybe you don't want to see your kids' events. Maybe you just want to see your own events. You can do the same thing. So again, Google Calendar makes it easy. Let's say you've got a vacation scheduled for June. Well, you can click up here on these carets. This is going to take you to the month of April. Click again, month of May. Click again, June. Maybe in the third week of June, you're going to take a trip to go to your nephew's graduation. So you can click on the 12th and say John's graduation and click edit event. And this would be considered an all-day event because you're going to be out of town, and so that's totally fine. In fact, you're going to be gone for 3 days. So it starts on the 12th, and you're coming back on the 15th of June. So it goes from the 12th to the 15th, and you're going to, I don't know, Boise, Idaho. So we'll click on that. And description, John's high school graduation. And for now, it'll just, no notifications are set. It's too far in advance. But maybe you want to be reminded of it 2 weeks ahead, so you make sure that you, talk to your neighbors about taking care of your pets or get the mail or whatever. So we'll click and add a notification. Say notification 1. Let's make it 2 weeks before. And we click save. And you can see now this shows up as something that spans all 4 days as opposed to just a singular block. So you've just gone well into the future and created this event, and you gave yourself a reminder about it, so you'll get a notification 2 weeks before it happens. And this is the best way to keep track of yours and your family's events that are all going on and make it a little bit easier to stay organized. So that is a brief introduction to Google Calendar, and we will keep going with more of Google's tools in our next video.